Mm.
Hey, guess what? We're live. Woo, we're live. We're drinking because it's Bar Thursday. And not only, here's the thing, Ann. It's Bar Thursday. It's Friday Eve, and technically tomorrow is the observed Independence Day holiday, the 4th of July holiday. Will be celebrated on the 3rd. So let me ask you a question, Ann. Would you rather celebrate your holiday on the Friday before a holiday or the Monday after a holiday? Go.
I'd rather do it the Monday after so I can get some stuff done.
I'm the same way. I like having Mondays off more than Fridays off. I don't know why. There's no rhyme, no reason to it. So I don't know.
Usually I can find enough to slack off on a Friday. I'm like, yeah, it's Friday. Let's order lunch, or it's Friday. It's practically. But on Monday, I'm like, let's get busy. So
it's a mental thing. It's that whole mental, like, it's Monday, we're working. Let's hit the ground running. Where Friday's like, I'm really done with this week, and I would just like to have more weekend.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
So now I'm gonna wonder if I'm
instead of me hitting the ground running, the ground has smacked me in the face. I'm done.
Got it. I got it. It makes complete and total sense to me. Anyway, here we are on a fabulous Bar Thursday, and today we are enjoying the Classic Daiquiri. Now, I thought I would take a minute to explain the Daiquiri because I believe we do not have a clear mental model of what a real Daiquiri is. So I wanted to go ahead and take some time to talk about ye old Classic Daiquiri. Mm-hmm. As you can see, most people have a paradigm of a daiquiri, of a big fuzzy drink, and we're gonna take a look at that in just a second. But in the meantime, in terms of a definition, what is a classic daiquiri? It's a delicious rum-based, simple, sweet, and sour cocktail served over ice, or more traditionally served straight up in a chilled coupe or martini glass. I believe, Anne, if you'll show us your glass, you are showing us a very large, that's a great size martini glass. The glass that you see in the picture here is a classic coupe glass, and I always think of the 30s when I see a coupe glass because, that's what you might serve some champagne in, or you might serve a daiquiri, or what's the other one? A slow gin fizz or something like that. So maybe we should do some of those, even though I don't have any slow gin and I would never use it for anything. Some quick facts, and we might seem like we're obsessed with Cuba drinks here on the Brothers Sisters, but Anne's got rum at home. Anne doesn't drink much, so we have to make drinks that have rum in them. So that's why we have featured the rum and coke and the mojito, and now the daiquiri. So it comes from Cuba. The base of a good lime daiquiri is lime, sugar, and rum. And this sort of came from, so the drink itself sort of came from the idea when the English first started coming over to the New World, they would basically hook up every sailor with like a gallon of beer. Well, that got to be it took up a lot of room. So then they started giving them rum, but the rum was making them too drunk. So then they started putting together a concoction that was rum and water and lime juice, with the idea that the water would cut down the potency of the rum and the lime juice would keep them from getting scurvy. And so that base kind of formed from that. As far as the first daiquiri per se, after the Spanish-American War, there were a number of mining operations in Cuba. We were trying to exploit it as much as we could. And so Jennings Cox, an iron mining tycoon, kind of accidentally made the drink. He was having a party. They were drinking a lot of gin. They ran out. He went to find the easiest alcohol to get his hands on. It was rum. He cut it with some sugar and some lime juice. And this delicious sour drink was born. He named it after a local beach, the Daiquiri. And it was made famous in the 1930s by guys like Ernie Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald. There you go. A brief history of the daiquiri. This is what technically, guys, a daiquiri is not this. So this is kind of our mental model of when somebody's like, oh, I want a daiquiri, you automatically think strawberry daiquiri and it's super fluffy and pretty and all that. But technically that's not. I mean, it is and it isn't. I'm not saying they're not delicious. They are. But the nice thing about the Classic Lime Daiquiri versus the daiquiri that you see in the picture here is that the daiquiri that you see in the picture here is it's super sweet, super caloric, super heavy, delicious, no doubt. What's nice about a lime daiquiri, there's the recipe right there. It's just rum, it's lime juice, it's simple syrup. So what's great about it is that it's simple, it's refreshing, it's delicious, it's easy to make, and it's not a White Claw. So you can sip on, because I know I have been told that I harp on White Claw too much because I hate it so much. But if you want to control calories when you're drinking, you can enjoy something like a mojito, or you can enjoy something like a classic lime daiquiri, because you don't have to drink 8 of them. You just sip on one. It's boozy and delicious. There's a lot of booze in this. It's mostly booze, and then with some lime juice and a little bit of simple syrup to sort of make it kind of sweet and sour all at the same time. That's one of the reasons I love it. It's a fabulous summer cocktail, and it's so easy. If you've got a couple of limes laying around in your fridge or some lime juice, and you got a little bit of sugar and some rum, you can make yourself a daiquiri. You don't need a blender. You don't need anything crazy. You just need, you can stir it, you can shake it, however you want to do it. Serve it over ice. Don't serve it over ice. It's completely up to you. Anyway, that's what we are enjoying today. Look, we've got a comment. Laura Rawls says, hey girl, hey. We spent all day Zooming on each other yesterday because we had work to do. We were work Zooming. Of course, we weren't actually Zooming. We were on Google Hangouts. So anyway, Lori, what's up? You should make yourself a classic daiquiri. Hey, question, Lori. How did the painting go today? I know you had painters in your house today painting your house. How did that go? Question for you. Did they wear masks? I'm just curious. Anyway, so I know, right? I don't want to get too hooked up on that. But anyway, that's what we're enjoying. That's the history. Drink up. All right. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and take that out. I'm going to put us back on. And there you go. And I have to admit, I'm a little bit obsessed with this. This is sort of my drink of choice this summer. It's also really good if you're making a daiquiri. If you swap out like regular rum for like a Bacardi Limon, which is quite good. It's Bacardi's lemon lime rum, and it's really good. It's it has a nice little essence to it. Gives it a little extra poof, which is good. Lori says they're done. It went great, and no, they didn't. I'm like, that's interesting. Okay, I'm just curious. I'm just wondering what businesses are doing with that. I'm just curious. That's all. So, Anne, is this your first foray into a classic daiquiri?
This is my first one. Usually the daiquiris that I've gotten in the past, usually I get a daiquiri when I'm feeling nostalgic for high school. And I was like, yeah, I need something giant, like I can sit in the glass while I drink it. It's all frozen and delicious. So this is good. It kind of reminds me of a margarita straight up, because I do really like tequila, and I like lime a lot. I think lime is wonderful in an alcoholic beverage. So it's excellent. It will get you drunk fast if you're a lightweight like me, yes. Because like Jenny said, it is mostly booze. So
it's mostly booze, yes.
The lime really covers up that booziness. So you've got this. It's nice. I like it.
Yeah, it's really water now. It's what I love about it is that it's got that sharp taste on it. So.
Yeah, me too.
Laura wants to know, is it illegal to drink it over the rocks? And the answer is no. The original daiquiri was actually served on ice. So it's more sophisticated. It has a much cleaner look to it. So if you're at a party and you want to look like you're awesome, then you're going to drink it like Anna's drinking it. But I personally am drinking it I had a nice glass to put mine into, but it's so hot today that it was melting too fast, and my glass was literally sweating everywhere.
Jenny, I lost your sound. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No.
How about now?
Oh, it's me. Sorry, it's me.
Okay. All right. Lori, can you hear me? Are you still there? What's happening? Anyway, so I was just saying that, so I have my insulated cup, so then I don't have like a stand-up pool in my dining room. So there you go. So anyway, that's today's drink of choice. If you have some of this laying around, enjoy this refreshing drink. But we are also here today because since it's Thursday, we are reviewing what is, in my opinion, the greatest sequel ever made. And what is that movie, Ann Brothers?
Hey, Jenny, I'm going to get off for a second because my volume still isn't working, and I'll be right back.
Okay, so I will take over then. All right, I'm going to remove you. Ann is out of the stream. So we're talking about the movie Alien. I'm going to bring that up real quick like a bunny. So just give me 2 seconds while I jumpstart that. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. All right, I got to do that. I got to do a share screen. Different share screen. So anyway, I was making this claim, this wild claim yesterday. My brother-in-law Jim was witnessing this, and I said that I felt that Aliens, which was released in 1986, is literally I'm going to call it it's the greatest sequel of all time, in my opinion. And I'm sure people that are, they're like The Godfather 2 is the greatest sequel of all time. I'm like, that's your opinion. I think The Godfather Part 2 is an excellent sequel, but I still think Aliens is better, and I'm going to explain why in just a minute. Oops, I made a mistake here. All right, I'm going to see if I can bring my sister back. Can you hear yourself now?
I can hear myself. I'm sorry. Sometimes when people are trying to call me, because I have to do this through my phone, sometimes when people are trying to call me, it cuts down on the volume, and then it doesn't go back up sometimes for some reason. So I'm like, now I'm back. And yay, Aliens!
We missed you, and we're talking about what I have claimed to be the best sequel in the history of movies. I know my brother-in-law, Jim, we met him yesterday during our Yacht Rock segment. I think he was going to disagree with me on that, but anyway. So, Anne, brothers.
Yes.
Tell us about Aliens. Go.
Aliens is, if you haven't seen the first Alien, which is actually a very good movie. I mean, it was made in 1979. It was very much ahead of its time. I mean, it was just really, so it's a good movie. So if you haven't seen the original one in a long time, go back and watch it. It's a very psychologically good thriller. Now, the sequel, the sequel came much later, 1986. I happened to watch this by accident when I was in high school. The VCR was a brand. It's like, ooh, I had friends that actually owned VCRs. So this was one of the movies they rented, and it scared me so much. I swear to God, I lost weight watching it. So we have Sigourney Weaver's character, Ripley, is back, and I hadn't seen the first movie when I saw the sequel first, and then I went back and saw Alien. But she has been found floating in space with her cat. I mean, how can you not like a character that has a cat, right? Yes. So she's been found in space, and it's like 57 years later. She comes into this world that's nobody remembers her. She doesn't know anybody. Everybody thinks she's a liar or crazy or both. When she starts talking about this alien with acid for blood, the company, and that's another thing. I was raised on space. The future and space travel would be this time of where humans become their better selves, like in Star Trek. And what we find out in Aliens is that humans do not become their better selves. So the company, we never know the name of the company, it's just the company decides that she's crazy. Nobody needs to listen to her. So she ends up having to take this low-level job and have nightmares about what happened on the last ship, the Nostromo. So anyway, all of a sudden, and she also learns that this planet where they found this non-indigenous alien, that there's been a colony there for like 20 years. And it just happens that once they find Ripley, a couple of weeks later, boom, they lose contact with the colony. Now, it's probably not the aliens, but they're sending a group of Marines, space Marines, and they would like her to be a consultant on this trip back to this planet, so that she can consult them as they, figure out what's going on. And it's probably not aliens. You know what? It's aliens. What I loved so much about this movie, and which I loved because, we both grew up in the 70s and 80s. Our only hero was Wonder Woman. And neither one of us had the boobs to be Wonder Woman, but damn, could we be Ripley?
I did not have the rack for that sort of superhero-ness, no.
Exactly. But she was this awesome, and the best thing about this movie is, like, sometimes you'll get a movie where there's a strong female character, but in this one there are several. There's Ripley, there's the little girl Newt, there's Vasquez. Oh my God, I loved Vasquez so much. I still do, even though she was played by a Jewish woman instead of a Latina. But we can talk about that in a minute. Anyway, they get to the planet with the Space Marines, and all hell breaks
loose. Yeah.
There.
One alien. There's a bunch of aliens. Yeah. Woo.
Exactly. You know what the first movie was lacking? More than one alien. Well, we got all of them now. So
it was lacking a plural.
Exactly.
So, all right. So just a couple of quick particulars. This movie came out in 1986. It was the sequel to Alien. It stars Sigourney Weaver and a bunch of other, I'm going to call them James Cameron regulars. So James Cameron regulars are like Jeanette Ferguson, who was the one that played Vasquez, and Michael Biehn, and Bill Paxton, who was also in Terminator. So there's a lot of people that you would see in a James Cameron movie. He likes to go back to actors that he's worked with before. That's a staple of his. And that's one of the reasons that we love James Cameron. All right, Anne, take us through the great quotes.
Okay, this movie is loaded with them, and I the ones that I picked were just, I mean, I could have gone on forever. I will note right now that Bill Paxton's character, Private Hudson, has the best line. So we'll start with one of his. Stop your grinning and drop your linen. This is when he finds a bunch of the colonists in this certain section of the facility. The next one that I liked is also Hudson. Yeah, man, but it's a dry heat. So he and his fellow Marines are down in this very humid area of the power plant looking for the colonists. And it is obviously not a dry heat because even the walls are sweating. And then, here's where, now, the character of Private Hudson, he comes off as very machismo, very bravado, but you learn early on that he actually has the heart of a coward, despite all of his, big gravitas. So here's where we really see that Hudson is falling apart. I don't know if you've been keeping up on current events, but we just got our asses kicked, pal. So that's when you start. Yes. After that moment, he pretty much entirely breaks down. He does redeem himself, just so you know, he does redeem himself. But he spends a lot of the movie being less heroic than you think a space marine should be. This is my favorite quote, and this is from the child actress. Her name is Elizabeth. Everybody calls her Newt. And they've just realized that they are not going to get rescued anytime soon, and that they need to hunker down. And Newt turns to Ripley and she says, they mostly come out at night. Mostly. And Duncan and I use that on each other all the time on stuff. And then, of course, this is my most favorite one. This is also Private Hicks, when they find out that this other character is he's the company toady, but he's more than just a company toady. He has tried to kill Ripley and Newt so that he can take smuggled back alien larvae in their bodies.
So he can make money because he sucks. That's Burke, Carter Burke.
Carter Burke, thank you. And so after they have discovered this, Hudson once again says, I guess I say we grease this rat fuck son of a bitch right now. I'm like, that's exactly what you want to do with a rat fuck son of a bitch. You want to grease them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, probably the most memorable quote in the movie is when Ripley is trying to save Newt from the Queen alien, and she says, get away from her, you bitch!
And she's wearing the giant suit. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So awesome. Yeah. And then, of course, I even have another Hicks quote, or Hudson quote here. Game over, man. Game over.
Game over. Yeah, it's
he has this sort of whiny white man quality to him that is just, well,
when he's so obnoxious, he's so like, oh, look how cool I am early in the movie.
Right.
Oh my God, yeah. He that's one of the reasons that this movie is so much fun.
It is.
So, and do you want to go through this, or do you want me to go through the reasons to watch Aliens besides its awesome quotes?
Well, the first reason, of course, and is I think for both of us, was that there's not just one strong character. I mean, Ellen Ripley is amazing. And the thing is, you learn early on that she's very afraid. She is very afraid of what has happened to her. She's scarred by it. She doesn't want to go back. But not only does she go back, she becomes a leader of a group of people who are used to adversity, who are soldiers. And she not only takes on that leadership role, but then she goes in and kicks butt herself. And you know the whole time that she's not doing this because she's not afraid or because she's fearless. She's full of fear, but she does it anyway. And it's so awesome. And then, like I said, of course, there's Newt, this little girl who survived like a month on her own in this. And then Vasquez, who's one of the Marines, who's just, you know, hey, Vasquez, have you ever been confused for a man? No, have you? You know, and just like, she's so awesome. Of course, another reason to watch this movie is it is so scary you will lose weight. I mean, one, who doesn't like to be scared? And two, who doesn't like to lose weight? And this movie is really good about, it starts from 0 and the tension builds and builds and builds and builds to a 10 crescendo, and then it takes you back down to like a 1 or a 2 again, and then it builds and builds and builds and builds crescendo, and then it takes you back down. It does that over and over and over again. And I find that most films can't sustain that. Most films build crescendo and then some sort of disappointment. But Cameron is good at this. James Cameron, he's very good about building up a crescendo and then the explosion, but then being able to take you back and building it up again, which is difficult to do. So that's a good reason to watch this movie. Another thing that I liked is that often children, I'm kind of opposed to children actors. Not that I don't think they do a good job, but I think it's difficult work, and I don't think it's fair to put them in an adult atmosphere. However, the young lady, I believe her last name is Hen, who played Newt. Thank you very much. She does an excellent job. And of course, part of it is the writing. They didn't write her to pull on your heartstrings. They didn't write her to be sappy. They didn't write her to try to make you enjoy a script that was unenjoyable. They wrote a little girl who's got a lot of heart and is very brave. And she did a really good job with that. So she made the movie better, which is sometimes hard it's a lot to put on a child actor, and she did a very good job with it. Most of the time, child actors can't do it, and it's not their fault. It's an adult industry, and it's unfair to put children in that situation, like with Phantom Menace or with White House Down. Two examples of children in movies where you're like, oh, I hate that kid. It's not the kid's fault. It's the writing and the directing. They should not be in that situation. She did an excellent job with it.
I'm going to jump in, and this is Jim Peters. I'm talking to you. One of the reasons that I think this is one of the better sequels I've ever seen, and I know a lot of people will tell you that no, Terminator 2 is a better sequel, also a James Cameron movie. And the reason it's not for me is the kid. The kid ruins that movie for me because I just don't think, I don't think it's when we consider what John Connor is supposed to be in the story of the Terminator, I don't feel like the kid that they pull out has this squeaky little, and that may be the case, could be, but it really bugs me throughout the movie. And that's one of the reasons that I think this is a better sequel, is that the child in this is not a distraction. She's very much a part of the story. She is a leader within this because they end up relying on her because she's survived. She knows her way around the complex. She leads them out of danger. She tells them when to get inside. So she does she's more than just, and she doesn't really talk a lot during the movie. She has little lines here and there, but mostly she's a presence, and mostly she's, I would say, a driving force for Ripley. And we really learn, if you watch the special edition of this, which I think is on Prime, you get there's 17 extra minutes of movie, and we start to understand why Ripley bonds so quickly with Newt's character, which I thought was really interesting as well. So yeah. And again, you mentioned in your review here that this movie makes you miss Bill Paxton again.
It does make me miss Bill Paxton so much. And of course, it's proof that the best villains in a movie are either aliens or Nazis. Newt screaming is amazing. And of course, Paul Reiser inspires corporate toady slimeball characters for the next 36 years. I mean, if you want to look at some slimeball character in a recent movie, go back to his character, Burke, and you will see. Oh, he does a good, kind of sweaty, sort of. Yeah, he's awesome.
Super
so
slime.
Good job, Paul Reiser.
Yep. Agreed. I would agree. All right, Ann Brothers, reasons not to watch Aliens.
Well, if you don't like scary movies, and I love scary movies, but there's some people that don't. And if you don't like scary movies, you do not want to watch this one because it is super scary. Also, another reason is that, man, after this movie, they should have stopped with the Alien franchise. I mean, the other ones are shiny. They got often excellent casts, but man, there's just no capturing the lightning in a bottle that was this movie again. So if you haven't seen the other ones, don't bother.
Watch 1 and 2. Skip everything else. Everything
exactly. If you're going to go to a planet and it is inhabited with aliens with concentrated acid for blood, you should bring a lot of baking soda because that neutralizes acid. Come on, people. Have all this technology and cool stuff. Bring some baking soda, for God's sake.
Yeah, Ann, but you have to remember it's Hollywood, so we need that extra drama. I know.
Baking
but I get
bombs.
I know. Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. All right, so I wanted to just add something. I saw this movie when I was 16. I saw it the summer after it came out, again on VHS. And what this movie meant to me was that this was the first movie where I got to see a strong female lead absolutely kicking some ass. So Ellen Ripley, along with Sarah Connor from the second Terminator, were literally two of the women in my life that made me just rethink what it meant to be a strong woman and a strong female character in Hollywood. So yeah, I just think that, I know it's going to sound weird, but if you have daughters, make them watch this movie. Now, if they're like, 8, maybe not. Maybe wait till they're a little older, till they're teenagers and so forth. But I also think, if you've got sons, make them watch this movie too for the same reason. Because again, you see some really interesting qualities in Ripley, especially, and also in Michael Bihn's character Hicks. Because here's a guy that's macho, super, but he figures out very quickly that she's a valuable asset, and he defers to her leadership a lot, which I think is a good quality in him, because soldiers, we have this idea that soldiers will be like, I'm just going to take over, and he doesn't. He realizes that he's dealing with somebody who is better at this than he is, and he defers. And I just think that's really cool. So
no, and that's I agree. I like I said earlier, she is she never pretends to be what she isn't. She just is what she is. So
yes,
we love her for it. Thank you, Sigourney Weaver and Ellen Ripley.
And I'm going to give full credit to James Cameron, because one of the reasons I've always enjoyed James Cameron movies is that he does write a really decent female lead character. Oh, girl, you drank that fast. I'm still sipping on mine. Uh-oh.
I know. It's so good. Oh my God, this is so good.
Anne's going to need a nap. It's nap time for Ann Brothers, people.
You haven't had dinner yet.
I haven't had dinner, or I didn't really have lunch either because it's so hot.
Oh, Duncan, you're going to need to take care of that mess. All right.
Shut up, you baloney. Anyway.
Drunk Ann Brothers, still a favorite.
Ann Brothers.
Favorite. That's right. So yeah, and again, because James Cameron, he did the first Terminator, he did Aliens, he did the second Terminator, he did True Lies, and though I didn't care for what he did with Jamie Curtis's character in that movie. He did Titanic, good female lead in Rose's character, blah blah blah. So Avatar, yeah, he does some pretty good female characters for sure. So for sure. Thanks, James Cameron. I understand you're kind of a pill to work with, but you do make a good movie. So, dude,
we make a good movie.
Yep.
You know what? Let's talk about just a second, because this was the 80s, and I realized that.
Yep.
The woman who played Vasquez, she did an awesome job, because when I first saw this movie, Vasquez was my favorite character. Oh yeah. And she still is like my favorite character in this. However, it's and I'd also like to, again, shout out to James. Oh, thank you.
You bring some water. Duncan is looking out for his woman. Right
on. He did something, and it's the thing is, it's still, unfortunately, it's still uncommon for somebody to have such strong female characters in such powerful roles. But and we still have a long way to go in this part as well, is that he didn't hire a Latina woman to play a Latina part. It was the mid 80s. And, we didn't do that then. So even though I don't want to take away from the actress that played her, because she did a fabulous job. I just love her. Jeanette
Ferguson.
Thank you so much. Yep. She did a wonderful job, and I loved what she did. But I think it again shows us that we still have a ways to go. Yes, this was 36 years ago, but we're only now becoming conscious of the fact that, hey, we have this great Latina character. Oh, I know what a crazy thing to do. Let's get a Latina actress to play her. Yeah, and we're just starting to figure that out now, and I'm sad that it's taken us that long to start figuring this out.
Oh yeah, I mean, just and there are a lot of really recent examples of white women playing characters who are either Asian or, like you said, Latina, and you're just like, really? Okay.
Why did they do that? Yeah,
right. So no, I totally get that, this movie is not perfect. One of the things I do like about this movie is that it has aged well. Obviously, there are some special effects things that make you go, "Oh yeah, it was the '80s," but overall, it really does hold up well through the years. This movie is not young. This is what, a 33-year-old, 34-year-old movie. And so as a result of that, the fact that Joe and I just sat down and watched it the other night again, and I'm like, this movie is still as good as it was 34 years ago. So good job, James Cameron.
Good job. Well, it tells a very good story, and if you can tell this, if you just tell the story, it's a great story.
Right
a sandwich.
Oh boy.
Sandwich.
Well done, Duncan. You're amazing. So
you're amazing.
All right, so I think that's all we got to talk about as far as Aliens and Classic Lime Daiquiris. Anne, do you have anything you want to add to today's presentation?
I don't, other than watch Aliens again. Actually, watch the first one because it really is a good movie, and then watch the second one. I've watched both the extended version and the non-extended extended version. Yeah, why not? I mean, go ahead and watch the extended version. It's interesting. You get a little idea of how slimy the company is, and you get a little idea of where Newt came from, and kind of why Ripley is the way she is. So,
and the thing about the original Alien, they are very much two different movies. The first Alien is, I would call it it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn. The first hour of that movie, you really spend a lot of time getting to know the characters, getting down to the planet, investigating what's down there. Slow burn that comes to a crashing end, where, like you said, with Aliens, it's a roller coaster ride. It is, and that little stupid tracker thing where it tracks movement, that becomes your worst enemy during the movie. Because, and that's
the thing. I was like,
run!
Exactly. So, and that's hard to do. It's hard to do that. A lot of people are like, oh, it's a roller coaster. I'm like, that's harder than you think.
Yeah, there are three distinct. There's the scene where they go look for there's the scene where they get there and they're just doing the investigating. Then there's the scene where they go find the colonists. Then there's the scene in the lab, which is my favorite scene.
Yeah.
And then there's the scene at the end where she's rescuing Newt. Three very different, ones where you're just like, you gotta. And what's great is that each scene is like they're up against the clock. It feels like they're up against the clock in every single scene. Either the place is going to blow up, or the aliens are coming, or they're starting to get into the room. That's not possible. That's in the room. Yeah.
So that's very good job. So if you haven't seen it in a while, go back.
When are we meeting again? When are we meeting again?
What day? When would you like to meet again, Jenny Brothers? I'm actually free on Saturday-ish after I go drop off some paperwork to my parents and wave to them from the window. Though they're not. They have some different ideas about that.
Sunday. Would you be interested in doing a Sunday brunch again?
Oh, sure. You know what? I do have, we are having social distancing breakfast with some friends. So could we make it noon instead of 11?
Oh, we can make it later than that. If we want to go 5th of July celebration, we can do that too. So you tell me what time and we will make it happen.
Okay, let's say 12:30. We'll meet someplace in the middle, because that way I can get a picture of Annie and Gary and they can wave.
Oh, yay! Absolutely, that would be lovely. Tell them I said hello, and that someday if I ever come back to Michigan, if all this ever ends and I think it's safe to travel again, I may come back and visit. or whatever. Otherwise, you will simply see the background that is my dining room forever.
I was gonna say this is my living room, and sometimes I'm in my enclosed porch. So there you go.
Good job. Well, hey, girl, you stay cool. Everybody, thank you for joining us today for Bar Thursday, where we had lime daiquiris and reviewed the movie Aliens.
All right, I'm gonna go sober up, so I'll see you crazy kids later.
All right, Anne's gonna sober up. I'm gonna go make some dinner, and we will see you guys Sunday at 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central for Sunday brunches. Well, technically, it's still brunch because brunch, according to Aunt Julie, is till 2 o'clock, and she would know
exactly
sorts of things. So,
well, you know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna go to Beezy's, and I'm gonna get an extra order of French toast, and I'm gonna eat it cold while we're doing this.
Nice, I like it.
Drunk me thinks that's a great idea. All right, I'll talk to you later.
You are drunk. You's a great free drinker. All right, you guys, we out. Bye.
Bye.